Welcome back, everybody, to episode 3 of the Road to 10% Body Fat. This episode probably won't be quite as long as the last episode, more or less because the diet and nutrition and activity was all pretty much exactly the same as week 1. So just as a quick recap, I was averaging 21 to 2200 calories a day, aiming for up to 300 grams of protein per day. I was on average probably only hitting around 270 because it is hard to get that many grams of protein in without taking a lot of protein supplements, and I do want whole real foods as well. In terms of my steps, I still got over 10,000 steps every day, and I was averaging probably around 14,000 steps. All right. So the main thing I wanted to focus on in today's episode is, well, first I will put up over this way my daily weigh-in so you can see. I did start the week on Monday weighing in at 114 kilos. Yes, 114 kilos. And it was actually a pretty consistent week. Week 1, had 3 big 1 kilo drops, and then it sort of went up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit, down a little bit. And I think that was having to do with my body sometimes, getting a little bit dehydrated or flushing out all that excess water weight from the decreasing my carbohydrates and my glycogen levels, depleting a little bit. Also then taking on creatine, so trying to reabsorb some of that water a little bit. So that was throwing those numbers out. This was a much more consistent week. Went down most days. On Sunday, it did pop up because on Saturday, I went to a friend's house for a barbecue. And while I didn't eat a whole bunch of junk food, I definitely overate a little bit, probably on calories, was a little high. I tried to put everything into MyFitnessPal, and I did eat very sparingly before we went to the barbecue, knowing that I would probably enjoy myself and have 2 serves or whatever we were having. But I wasn't eating junk food. But there was, a lot of fruit and veggies snacking on at the start, some crackers, things like that. So my carbohydrate intake was definitely a little higher. Definitely retained on a little bit more water weight from Saturday, and that's evident on Sunday's weigh-in, which was all the way, I was down at 112 and I went back up to 112 and a half. So over the week, down another 1.5 kilos, which is great. Still chipping along at that. Based on the calories, I should only really be dropping about half a kilo a week. So I do know that I'm at a bigger deficit than is absolutely necessary, which is good. It means I have some wiggle room moving forward. All right, now, I don't want to leave you all hanging. I know what you all came here for, the progress pictures. So let's get stuck into that right now in split screen. You ready to see some thick boy? Because he's still looking thick. Now, these are the third progress pictures, but keep in mind, it's only been 2 weeks. All right, it's been 2 weeks. I started at 117.75, down to 112.5 at this mark. All right, so down a little bit more than 5 kilos. Let's see if visually there's any difference. That is week 1. And on the third progress picture, that's week 0 technically, the third progress picture, end of week 2, apart from looking happier, I still look rather rotund in the torso there. Robust torso, some might say. Again, it's hard. It's early days still, guys. 5 kilos is a lot of weight, but I had a lot of weight around that midsection. It seems to be where I store the vast majority of my weight. But if we can take anything positive out of this picture, it shows that I have different color Bonds undies. So the first 2 weeks I was in my pinky ones, my fuchsia ones, and now magenta maybe. Now I'm in a hot highlighted yellow Bonds. So, Bonds, if you want to sponsor this mini-series, reach out to me, and we'll see if we can't line something up. Front, not too telling, looks pretty similar to me, apart from my healthy shirt and short tan popping from all the walking that I've been doing. This is the one where I think the belly is coming in a little bit. It's not quite the same profile. I'm trying to be as close on these pictures as I can. I think that is a little bit less chunky. Marginally, all right? I think marginally the side on is good. From the back, look, maybe a little bit. I don't know. Not that much. Oh, visually. Well, That is what it is. You've seen him. All right. That's only 2 weeks in. So again, you can't let the fact that you're visually not seeing big differences. Look, 5.2 kilos on a scale, you'd think you'd see some pretty reasonable things in person. I've noticed a couple small changes with my body, but just looking at the side-by-side photos, there's not a lot of huge evidence just yet. But again, we're 2 weeks in to whatever this process is going to be. It's definitely going to be a many-month process. So not getting frustrated or disheartened at all by that, because I know that my weight is going down and I know that my training is improving. In terms of I'm actually doing it. So I know that my strength is getting better, my conditioning is getting better, my activity is there, I'm eating the right foods, the weight's coming down the scale. I'm sure visually that will all fall into line soon. And talking about training, if you recall week 1, I only did one gym session. To ease back into it. This week I did 3 gym sessions. Lower body focus, 2 lower body sessions, 1 upper body session. Again, nothing crazy. We're talking 2 to 3 mobility exercises to warm up, 3 working exercises, 1 primary, 2 secondaries, which were a bit lighter and for higher reps, and then 2 mobility exercises to finish off on. And I did the same thing for all 3, obviously different exercises, but the body's feeling good, and the training's feeling really good from not having lifted weights for quite some time. In terms of how my body is feeling, it's feeling really good. And again, I don't want to say this is all just because I've dropped a couple kilos or I'm on the right foods. Maybe I'm on a good run, but I feel like I'm definitely waking up easier. I'm less tired in the morning. I'm probably getting slightly better sleep because I'm burning more energy during the day. Also, the foods that I'm bringing in are high quality foods, so I know that I'm getting good nutrients and good micronutrients during the day. Joint soreness, I would say, has improved because my lower back is always pretty stiff, and that's probably 2 things. That could be as a response for the food. It could be 3 things. It could be a response to the food. It could also be a positive response because I'm losing weight and there's less weight for my body to carry. The third thing is that because I'm focusing on this mobility work, I'm doing a lot of quad and hip flexor and hamstring lengthening and stretching in dynamic and passive formats. I believe that is also helping. So it's probably a combination of all 3 things, but my knees, my hips, and the lower back, they're feeling pretty good. So I'm really happy with that. I wanted to talk about 2 more aspects that some of my clients asked me about during the week. And again, if you guys have any questions about this process at all, about what I'm doing, if you want me to dive more deep into certain aspects of this whole program, this whole mini-series, leave a comment, shoot me a message on Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, and I will try my best to include it in a video if it is relevant and something that you're interested in. But the 2 things that I was asked today, the first one was from one of my clients, Bobby, this week, I should say. And he asked me sort of hydration. What am I trying to do to stay hydrated? How much water am I drinking? Am I drinking a lot of water to try to fill up, so I'm not hungry from not eating as much food? And the answer there is I always have been a pretty good drinker of just fluids during the day. I'm drinking about 4 liters a day at the moment. So I would normally, without even having to sort of make sure, I would get normally 3+ liters in a day. I know this because I have a 2-liter drink bottle here at the gym and I have a 2-liter drink bottle back at home, and usually they're both emptied by the end of the day. So I know I'm getting between 3 and 4 liters a day. I have been now in this process quite particular about making sure I get at least 4 liters of fluids in a day. Again, I have a 2-liter bottle here. I have a 2-liter bottle at home. When I go home in between my work shifts, I try to finish off most of that and then the rest in the evening. And during the day at the gym, my 2 protein shakes that I have during the day, I have them both at the gym generally. And those shakes come from that 2-liter bottle of water. And I make sure I drink the rest of the water on my shifts. So I'm guaranteed to drink at least 4 liters. Sometimes I do top it up and have a little bit more before bed. That doesn't count if I have sort of tea at home or anything like that. But I would say I'm getting about 4 liters in a day, feeling really good. Was going to the bathroom a bit more regularly for the first few days, but then your body gets used to it, and it's not been an issue since then. In terms of drinking to sort of fill up, to help satiate my appetite or to keep my appetite under control, I very rarely have had to do that. Only a couple times, where I'm on the couch, it's nighttime, tired, I've had a big day, I've worked out, I've walked 18,000 steps. I am on a deficit in calories. I'm like, oh, I could really go for something sweet because I've got a sweet. I got a savory tooth and I got a sweet tooth. It's the worst of both worlds, people. So what can you do? I would normally get, go and eat a pint of ice cream, or I'd go and just binge out on some junk food. And if I've been in one of those states where I really want something sweet, there's been two options. One, aeroplane jelly light. All right, it's basically no calories. It's got a bit of protein in it, next to no carbohydrates and sugars. You fill up a big bowl. It's like sweet. It feels like you're having a little dessert. There's a lot of flavors to pick from, but it's basically a calorie-free dessert with a couple grams of protein in there, I might add. The other option is, wait for this. I'm waiting for all the haters here. Diet caffeine-free Coca-Cola. It's delicious, and it's got no calories in it. And yes, I do use that sometimes if I'm feeling really, really hungry. And again, it's not all the time, but if I'm feeling really hungry, I'll get a nice big full protein shaker full of diet caffeine-free Coca-Cola, and I'll down that bad boy. And just having that extra little bit of volume in the tummy helps. But really, that's just sort of a side thing. And people say, oh, you shouldn't be having soft drinks, and diet soft drinks are just as bad as normal soft drinks. Shut up. They're not as bad. They're fine. 0 calories. I'm not having 16 bottles a day. I have 1 bottle over the week. Not a big deal. All right? So that is my little side hack right there. Is if I'm really craving something sweet, I'll just have myself a Diet Coke, and then that's fine. It usually helps. Another client, Fiona, asked how this process is affecting my mental state. And I guess you could look at that in a few different ways. So I think some people, when they are eating in a deficit, or they're on a diet where they're like a restrictive diet, where they're taking things out of the diet, it can be kind of negative on their mindset. You can feel, oh, I really want this, I'm craving this, or I don't enjoy this food. To be honest, in regards to that sort of mental state, I've not had any problems with this one. I think primarily because the foods I'm eating are delicious, like really tasty whole foods for the most part. So I'm having, chicken breasts and chicken tenders and real steak and salads and eggs and potatoes, and I'm not wanting for like variety, if that makes sense. Sometimes, and I know I've done this before in the past myself, I'm going to go on this diet, and for every lunch I'm going to have 1 chicken thigh and this much rice and this much vegetables, and I'm going to have that every single day. And you know what? You burn out and your body starts to crave things that it's not getting. I think I'm getting a really good variety of fruits, vegetables, meats. So I really haven't had any cravings. And so without the cravings, I feel like that really helps the mental state. One thing that was hard was I stopped taking stopped drinking coffee as well as part of this all. And again, I think for most people, a cup or two of coffee a day is absolutely fine. I personally actually get a little bit of a skin flare up when I have too much coffee. And I don't know whether it's the coffee or the caffeine in the coffee, but when I drink coffee, I get like a psoriasis type rash on both of my calves and around my wrists, and I get these red rash, and the hair starts to fall out, and the skin gets really extra dry in those places. So I stopped having coffee. Before I started this process, I was having a lot of coffee, and so the first 5 days were a little bit miserable in the fact that I had like a dull headache for about 4 to 5 days until I sort of kicked those caffeine cravings. And that's another one of the reasons why when I have my little cheat caffeine-free Diet Coke, because I don't know if it's the caffeine or something else is in the coffee, I've just kicked out most of the caffeine as well. Like I said, caffeine can be a really good training aid. If you're feeling flat, to have a cup of coffee or a pre-workout or something like that before you work out, if that helps you get up for a really big session, like fantastic, there's nothing wrong with that. But for myself personally, it's one of those things that I decided to just give up because I like it too damn much, and I end up having 8 cups a day, and it's not productive. And I think physically on my skin, it has a bad reaction. Also potentially on my sleep, because I would sometimes have them at 3, 4 in the afternoon, and they say you shouldn't really be having caffeine after 2 p.m. even. just because it can affect your sleep later in the evenings. And maybe that's also why I've been waking up feeling more fresh in the mornings and having a better sleep, getting up easier, no caffeine dependencies. So that was something that I found pretty interesting. In terms of the rest of my mental state is actually really positive just because things are going in the right direction. And like I said, even though visually on these side-by-side sort of progress pictures, there's not a huge amount of change yet, I myself know that there's change because I can see up close that there's some physical changes happening. My training's going well. My energy levels are good. I'm feeling good because I'm sticking to the program. Everything's feeling really good. So no complaints in that department just yet. Now, during this process, I am planning on doing a couple of like short-term big cuts potentially, sort of like when bodybuilders on stage, we're going to do a 2-week blitz at 1,800 calories or something like that. Again, I'm not doing that yet. Maybe when I do something like that, that's a bit more drastic, or maybe even at like the 4-week or 6-week or 8-week mark when I've been doing it for a while, things will get a bit more tiresome and that might have a mental effect. No effects like that as of yet. But I think that's everything that I wanted to touch on today. Basically the exact same nutrition stuff, 21 to 2,200 calories, high protein, low to moderate carbs and fats. I'm getting 10,000 steps a day minimum, averaging around 14 to 15,000 steps a day. This week was 3 gym workouts. Next week, I'm aiming for 4 gym workouts, which will be the most that I'll be doing in the foreseeable future. Mental state is good. And fluid intake is 4 liters per day roughly. So that is everything that I wanted to touch on. I hope you all enjoyed that episode. Next week's episode 4, is going to be a fun one. I think you all really, really enjoy it. It's going to be a full day of eating. Full day. So you're going to watch me actually cook these breakfast, lunches, dinners that I've been having. You'll see them. You'll see the ingredients. You'll see the size I take up on the plate. And hopefully that will then, if you're feeling like on the fence of whether you want to like try something like this out, maybe give you the nudge over because it actually is quite a lot of good quality food. All right. So that's going to be a really fun one. Full day of eating. 10% body fat, or for 2,200 calories, 2,100 calories, something along those lines. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for joining in and watching. I know we've actually been getting a few new subscribers watching these videos, so hello to everyone new. If you haven't done so already and you are watching, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment, help the algorithm pick this video up, and help the channel grow. And I will see you next week for a full day of eating 21 to 2,200 calories, really healthy and good volume. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Have a good one.